Alright, Shalom Israel. I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahawashi, by Hashem Rekakwadash, for allowing me to do another lesson. Yahweh is who the world ignorantly calls God. Yahawashi is his son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And there is no God beside them. I want to give double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone, or GMS, for being faithful witnesses to the Holy Spirit, to the Spirit of Yahawashi, and Shalom to the elect, whom the Most I've given ears to hear. And last night I was just watching some health videos, and I came across a topic by the name of it's called grounding or earthing, however you want to call it. And the benefits, the many benefits, one being improved blood circulation. Well, as the scriptures say, the blood is the life of the body. Alright, so earthing, which is simply putting your feet, alright, in grass or sand, brings life. Alright, and when we go into the society of the Edomites, the so-called white men, alright, which this is how we also know Esau, Edom is here today, by looking at the architecture. When we go into Esau's society, whether it be from Mount Seir, alright, to Rome, to Greece, to Rome, to America, all the architecture looks the same. Alright? And it's all made up of concrete, which concrete, as you see, there's one. Let me grab this one. These are all Edomite rulerships. Alright? Because that's a clear example. Where as the scriptures say, the Spirit bears witness. Well, that's Romans 8, where it speaks about Israel, but the Spirit bears witness with this devil. Alright? Whereas he does the same thing over and over in his architecture and the way he rules the earth. Alright, and as you see, the earth now is covered in concrete. Alright, the earth now is also covered in concrete, whereas you have tall, monumental buildings. Alright, and with these buildings being so tall and so high, you have to drill into the earth a lot more, alright, to withstand the weight. Alright, so the earth itself is now more so encapsulated in concrete or in death. Alright, which I have this article here. Right, I just did a quick Google search. Why is everything in concrete? And this is the first article that came up. So it says concrete, the most destructive material on earth, which makes sense because it's put out, alright, or it's abused by the devil, which he is the most destructive man on earth. Alright, his weapon is with the sword. Alright, and from the chemtrails to the food, to the earth we stand on, is all a weapon to destroy us. After water, concrete is the most widely used substance on the planet, but its benefit masks enormous dangers to the planet, to human health, and to culture itself. Alright, this is Esau, Edom. This is a so-called white man. As is it not written in the book of Habakkuk that he is as deaf? A brief history of concrete from 10,000 BC to 3. Okay, no, that's just links. Which I just went to Google Images, and you can put in the history of concrete, and damn near every image basically gives you Rome. It gives you Egypt, then it jumps to Rome, All right, and then it jumps to the different monuments that you have today. Like, you know, the different tall skyscrapers that Esau puts in these various cities. But let's get back to that article. So it says, in the time it takes you to read this sentence, the global building industry will have poured more than 19,000 bathtubs of concrete. All right, this is something that he's doing around the clock. He's constantly building. By the time you are halfway through this article, the volume will fill the Albert Hall and spill out into Hyde Park. In a day, it will be almost the size of China's 3 gorgeous dams. In a single year, there's enough to patio over every hill, dale, nook, and cranny in England. After water, concrete is the most widely used substance on earth. If the cement industry were a country, it would be the 3rd largest carbon dioxide emitter in the world, with up to 2.8 billion tons, surpassed only by China and the US. You know, which that's another story for another time, but you know, here it is. This devil wants to bring down the carbon emissions, yet he's still building. All right, he's a hypocrite. He's as deaf. Okay, the Edomites are not done away with. The material is the foundation of modern development, putting roofs over the heads of billions, fortifying our defenses against natural disaster, and providing a structure for healthcare, education, transport, energy, and industry. All right, and this is a new way of living because, you know, in the ancient world, we use things we use things of the land, you know, to where it will always benefit us. And don't think that it wasn't strong. You know, use particular bamboo. You know, like if you ever watch those bushcraft videos, you know, or those shows to where the people got to live out in the wild for a particular period of time. They going through all types of turmoil with the weather, but they have to use whatever's in the wild to create a strong and sustainable habitat. All right, so you can't say things of the earth is not strong enough. Concrete is how we try to tame nature. Our slabs protect us from the elements. They keep the rain from our heads, the cold from our bones, and the mud from our feet. But they also entomb vast tracts of fertile soil, constipate rivers, choke habitats, and acting as a rock-hard second skin, desensitizes us from what is happening outside our urban fortresses. Our blue and green world is become grayer by the second. By one calculation, we may have already passed the point where concrete outweighs the combined carbon mass of every tree, bush, and shrub on the planet. And that could be about right, because here this devil cut down a bunch of trees, all right, which is cleaning the air of carbon and so on and so forth, and then or cover it over the ground with asphalt, and then put a concrete building on top of it. Our built environment is, in these terms, outgrowing the natural one. Unlike the natural world, however, it does not actually grow. Instead, its chief quality is to harden and then degrade extremely slowly. You see? Again, he is as deaf. By reading this article, if you don't see nothing else, you should see that this man is as deaf. All right? I'll read that last part again. Our built environment is, in these terms, outgrowing the natural one. Unlike the natural world, things that the Lord created, as the first commandment he gave man was to live on the earth and be fruitful and multiply. So it's only right that the commandments that he gave, all right, and in the nature of things that he put out here, the commandments that he gave us, the Israelites, and the nature in general that he just put out here, was that what Salakia would continue to reproduce itself. Did you know that there's actual laws that tells us that we cannot glean, the land dry? But there's something called a land Sabbath, to where you will let the land. Let me see if I can grab that. Leviticus 25, and I'll start at the top. And the Lord spake unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto the Lord. 6 years thou shalt sow thy field, and 6 years thou shalt prune thy vineyard, and gather in the fruit thereof. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land, a Sabbath for Yahweh. Thou shalt neither sow thy field nor prune thy vineyard. That which groweth of its own accord, of thy harvest thou shalt not reap, neither shall the grapes of thy vineyard undress, for it is a year of rest unto the land. You see? So in this society, Esau will, put aside a day or maybe a month. And that's being generous. Meanwhile, you spending 360, 300 plus days just constantly fracking and, cutting down trees and fucking up the earth. And the rest of the land shall be meat for you, for thee, and for thy servant, and for thy maid, and for thy hired servant, and for thy stranger that sojourneth with thee. You see? So the Most High, which proves how Gad was Israel too. I mean, the so-called Native Americans was in Israelites, or are Israelites, because that's what they would do. You would glean at a place for a certain period of time, and then you have to migrate somewhere else. And for thy cattle and for thy beasts that are in thy land, I think I skipped verse 6. And the Sabbath of the land shall be meat for you, for thee, for thy servant, and for thy maid, and for thy hired servant, and for thy stranger that sojourneth with thee. All right. And for the cattle and for the beasts that are in thy land shall all the increase thereof be meat. And also goes to show you how we have to implement some type of discipline, in the time being, to where you don't just, cut down, like I said, don't cut down trees and just go all willy-nilly like this devil is. Then shalt thou cause, and thou shalt number 7 Sabbaths of years unto thee, 7 times 7 years, and the space of the 7th Sabbath of years shall be upon thee 49 years. All right. So again, just proving that you're not supposed to be destroying nature. Let me grab this one. Deuteronomy 20 and 20. 20 and 19. When thou shalt besiege a city a long time, and making war against it to take it, thou shalt not destroy the trees thereof by forcing an axe against them. For thou mayest eat of them, and thou shalt not cut them down. For the trees of the field is man's life, to employ them in the siege. Only the trees which thou knowest that they be not trees for meat, thou shalt destroy and cut them down, and thou shalt build bulwarks against the city that make war with thee until it be subdued. You see? And it also goes to show you that how we build, the materials that we use to build, all right, which again, that which was conducive to us and the earth. I seen a TikTok last night. You know, which TikTok has its folly, but it also has its edification. You know, one person was saying, like, after the rain, if you you know, touch a tree or whatever, being that it's basically like a grounding rod, you know, it's actually good for you. You know, because our bodies is as you should know, is electrical current. And electrical current with any circuit, all right, with any circuit, you need a ground to complete the circuit. You know, which is why in the ancient world, you know, I was looking it up too. You know, there's different laws about, you know, when you come, or just when you read the stories about our forefathers, you know, when men came or they would go into someone's house, they would wash their feet, going to show you that they were closer to the ground. All right, of course there was no concrete because Esau wasn't in rulership, but going to show you too that, you know, how we moved around. Most likely just wore sandals, you know, maybe even walked around barefooted. All right, but it was more conducive to us, to our health. All right, and then contrary to today, where you wearing orthotics and sneakers and boots. All right, meanwhile the earth is now suffering more, or the people are now suffering more, you know, different diseases and anxiety because of it. All right, which is actually a curse too. The Lord said we will suffer from inflammation and things. All right, so according to the curses, our health will suffer too. Which all these things, of course, came upon us for our iniquities, and all these things were brought through this devil. All right, but I digress. It says, however, it does not actually, going back to the article, unlike the natural world, however, it does not actually grow. Instead, its chief quality is to harden and then degrade extremely slowly. All the plastic produce over the past 60 years amount to 8 billion tons. The cement industry pumps out more than that every 2 years. But though the problem is bigger than plastic, it is generally seen as less severe. Concrete is not derived from fossil fuels. It is not being found in the stomachs of whales and seagulls. Doctors aren't discovering traces of it in our blood, nor do we see it tangled in oak trees or contributing to subterranean fatbergs. We know where we are with concrete, or to be more precise, we know where it's going nowhere. Which is exactly why we have to come to rely on it. Which, as the scriptures say, let's grab that. Those nuclear missiles, you know, it's going to rectify the problem. What's that? 1 Peter 3? As the Lord said, the elements shall melt. You see, 2 Peter 3:10, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and all the works that are therein shall be burnt up. Now, as I mentioned, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, his rulership, starting off with America, well, America completely is going to be destroyed. but even certain parts of Russia, all right, these China, a lot of these places spearheaded by Esau Edom is going to be done away with. Okay, which means and everything about him is going to be done away with. His infrastructure, all right, like it says in what's that, Isaiah 34, the line of confusion. All right, everything about this place is done away with. The infrastructure, the ideology, the mindset, all that's going to be done away with. Everything that reminds you of death is going to be done away with. All right, and that includes concrete. All right, which is an element. Nonetheless, it's an element. All right, Yahawashi is going to have that hot fire, you know, destroy. He's going to destroy. Let me grab this just to give brothers a which Lord willing Esau don't take me down for this. You know how this devil is, man. But, yeah, let me grab this. Oh, Salak, 1 second. Salak, 1 second, cause I got my
Put it on this slide. Let's see how the earthing. We're gonna see how the earthing, the grounding affects your blood. We're gonna take her blood, put it on this slide, microscopic slide, and take a look. As you can see, all her red blood cells are stacked up. This is called a stacked up cell. And see, let's go see if the earthing can help improve the level. They're actually earthing right now, and they're just starting to ground. So we'll see them back in 10 minutes. Let's see how the earthing or the grounding has affected their blood. As you can see, the blood, you know, before and after the earthing is obviously changed. So after you do the earthing, the blood can circulate better. This is a good example. Today we're gonna see.
Play this one.
How the
Do this one thing every day outside, and I promise you, it'll improve your sleep, your energy, decrease stress, pain, reduces inflammation, so many benefits. It's just to ground your feet outside. No shoes or socks on. This is called earthing or grounding. And the reason why, when you walk on the earth barefoot, the electrons from the earth are flowing through your body. Even a doctor said grounding is one of the most potent antioxidants, which will help you fight heart disease, cancer, and other diseases. And here's some more benefits right here. This system we're living in is trying to steer us away from nature. This is why basically all shoes are made of rubber. And if you guys don't know, rubber shoes blocks the connection and the frequencies from flowing through our bodies. This is why after like the 60s, they started making rubber shoes. So we can't get all these amazing benefits. Anyways, follow for more self-help videos, you feel me? Do this one thing every day outside.
Right, so we need to get out of here. That's the main you know, that's the underlying point, if you will. We definitely need to get out of here. All right, so we can live. This is why the scriptures tell us in Proverbs. Let me grab that. Proverbs 3:1. My son, forget not my law, but let thy heart keep my commandments. All right, and as I mentioned before, because we kept not the ways of Yahawashi, therefore we have a man over us that keeps not the way of the Lord. All right, so that we can beg for a better ruler, basically, which is Yahawashi. Yahawashi is going to come and right all wrongs. I tell them they say that all the time, but it's the truth. Whereas he's going to come and bring healing in his wings. All right, those nuclear missiles are healing. All right, in the grand scheme of things, because it refreshes the earth. Well, as the scriptures say in Isaiah 14, when thou art taken down, the earth shall rejoice, the trees shall rejoice, saying, no fellers come up against us. Which that word feller goes means a hewer, you know, someone who cuts down trees. But it says, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. All right, they're gonna add peace to us. All right, well, as I mentioned, we don't have to worry about a famine. All right, because we know to keep the land Sabbath. All right, you don't have to worry about a shortage of trees. We have to worry about chemicals, and bad air, because we don't cut down the trees. And most importantly, we don't have to worry about the Lord giving the power of a godless enemy over us. All right, to where He is the only one that's going to be over us. I mentioned that in Isaiah 14, but I just want to read it. I still want to read it anyway. It says, the Lord had broken the staff of the wicked. Who is the wicked? Esau, Edom, Malachi 1 and 4. In the scepter of rulers, he who smote the people in wrath. All right, which if I didn't mention, Esau, Edom is a so-called white man. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruleth the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Also another form of hell is what you see. Again, going into Deuteronomy 28, the curses speak about how we will receive inflammation and a fever and a burning ache. And it said that our ceiling would be as brass. Deuteronomy 28 and 22. The Lord will strike you with wasting diseases, fever, and inflammation, with scorching heat and drought, and with blight and mildew. These disasters will pursue you until you die. The skies above you will be as unyielding as bronze, and the earth beneath will be as hard as iron. You see, so that's a curse. All right. Whereas the things you see, the smell, we won't have to deal with that in the kingdom. You're going to see gold-plated streets. The smell will be a smell of flowers and, just natural. Whereas today, you got the smell of fucking gasoline, fuel, chemtrails, just nastiness, garbage. All right? So it says, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruleth the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us. All right, this is Revelations. You already know where I'm going. 11 and 18. And 14. The second war was past, Second World War. And behold, the third war cometh quickly, the Third World War. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven, saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Hamashiach Yahawashi, which Hamashiach meaning the anointed, Yahawashi, he shall reign forever and ever, which meaning peace shall reign forever and ever. And the 24 elders which sat before God on their seats fell upon their faces and worshipped God, saying, we give thee thanks, O Lord God Almighty, which art and was and art to come, because thou hast taken to thee thy great power, and hast reigned, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and to them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroyest the earth. All right, and as we always go into, the Most High knows how to kill two birds in one stone. All right, so it's going to be a lot to look forward to. All right, whereas the benefits from the pain that Yahawashi is bringing is going to far outweigh the pain that we currently dealing with. All right, Yahawashi is going to come bring everlasting life to us as well as to our enemies by taking this devil out of the way. So with that, shalom to the elect.